guys? Welcome to Real Talk with D's featuring Lady Lussh. Hopefully you having a wonderful day and all of that good stuff, man. We about to have some real conversation today. So yeah, what's up, Lussh? What's going on?
Yo, Deeds in the building. How you doing, hon?
Man, I'm excited about it. You know what I'm saying? Excited about this good conversation. So we got a topic today, huh?
Yeah, we do. Do you want me to drop it?
Yeah, I think you should drop that topic.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, today's topic, guys, is how important is sex in a relationship?
Ooh, that's a good one. I know some of y'all dudes out there like, yeah, let's jump into it.
Let's go straight into it.
Let's go straight into it. So
what do you think?
I think, okay, let's start off by giving them so they can gauge what I'm saying. If I had to say how important in my mind sex is in a relationship, I would say 75-25.
Okay.
I would say that initially in a relationship, I would say over time it may become 50-50.
I mean, is that the amount of sex or just period sex?
So if I had to be spending 25% of my time, okay, how can I describe this? If I had to spend 25% of my time loving and 75% of my time having sex, I would be okay with that.
75%.
Yeah, 75% of the time. So 25% we watching Netflix and chilling and loving each other, and you know, just the intimacy, you know, holding hands, all of that good shit, you know.
Yeah.
That. But the other 75%.
75 sex and 25 normal everyday. That's a lot.
Hey man.
I mean, I know. You know what's funny? You know, statistically, men think about sex every 7 seconds.
And that's true. That's the truth.
It's mad.
And you know, did you know that if a man doesn't have sex, it can cause him cancer? If you don't get that release,
here we go, guilt trip.
I'm just keeping that shit real. Like I
know this. You can. I get it. I get it.
We could die for not having sex.
You're taking it too far.
It's like, oh my God, if you want me to stay breathing, you need to play your part.
I think in a relationship, so you're in a nice relationship. Like, you know, generally at the beginning of relationships, everybody's at it like rabbits. You know, it's just the way it goes. But then gradually it dies down on both parts. It could be the male. Why? Because normally things like get chaotic. It's like, obviously that wowing stage is like, you don't need to do that no more. And you got kids, work. It's like you can't live in that cloud. I mean, I think it still should be, personally, I think it should be a priority.
Yeah.
It should be something that shouldn't be neglected.
Right.
If it is, then it's something that needs to be talked about.
Right.
And I think not enough people talk about this stuff.
At what point in time do we come to where people should talk about it? Like, say for example, what is a healthy sexual relationship? Like, so if we had to go on a week basis, right?
Yeah.
Out of a month, what is a healthy amount of time? And that goes without having to schedule things and spur the moment and all that good shit, but just in general.
In general, you do want it once a week.
Once a week.
In general. If you get it could depend. It really could depend though on each scenario, because you could have the woman who's insatiable and just wants it all the freaking time, and the guy's like, look, I've been at work all day, I can't do this anymore, woman, you drive me crazy. And then we could have the flip side, is the guy wants it all the time and the woman's like, I'm tired, I'm not in the mood, this is not a good time. And before you know it, you're going 2-3 a month without it. But if you're cool to go that month without it and the relationship is still strong, then the relationship can survive without sex. It just depends how long.
And it depends on the person.
On the person.
So,
if
for example,
both of you agree, go ahead.
If you, for example, if you had a person that was very sexual active, I'm talking about above and beyond, threesomes, all of that good shit. They got into a relationship, you know what I'm saying? And the relationship seems to be slowing them down. I mean, because let's be real, gentlemen. When we give up our cards, we don't want to give up at all and shit. If we gonna give up our cards, you gonna have to replace every fucking thing we did out there in some form or fashion in here. You know what I'm saying? We can't just give it up and not have nothing here and shit.
So you're saying you could go from threesomes, wild, crazy, and you want one person to fulfill all of that?
I want one person to at least make an attempt to. And that's the thing. Sometimes you got big shoes to fill. Like when we come in y'all lives, we got big shoes to fill sometimes. You know what I'm saying? We got to deal with the financial shit. We got to make sure that, you know, we doing our man thing. Even though today is more of a balanced field, and to be perfectly honest, women make more money than men these days. But in a lot of cases, but you know, so it's almost. I'm not saying that obviously, and that's, remember when I was telling you about how I was talking with my boys about. You want your female that you live with, that you love, to have some type of sluttiness to her. I mean, let's be honest. We don't want to prove.
I think so. I can agree. I think if you're in a proper relationship,
right,
everyone should be able to let loose. Otherwise, it's like, what's the point?
What's the point?
But I think you already know by your partner what the limitations are of
True.
what you're both willing to do and not willing to do.
Right.
But what I think can lead relationships down a little path, porn. You know, like if men ain't getting it and they go and sit there and they're watching their porn and they're getting all these fantasies and they're thinking, yeah, I want to go do that to my woman. And then you could try and approach a woman, she's looking at you like, what are you doing? That in itself can make the sexual relationship decline.
Look, fellas, so basically what she's saying is don't be coming home trying that Pornhub shit.
Don't.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't.
But now
it desensitizes you to the real feeling because your imagination.
But I'm kind of like I feel like that is true because we have to think about it. A lot of those are truly professionals, but some are amateur and they do just fine. But what I'm saying is that if that's the case, then why not as a couple? Because number one, I feel like if that's too much, why not as a couple find something? So I feel like couples should watch porn together. And I'm gonna tell you why.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's something that men want out of that, and they like, man, I would love that to happen. Well, why don't you have your girl with you and be just casual, like, man, oh, that right there, that's kind of nice right there. You check that out right there. I mean, I think it's some
tips.
Yeah, it's like I don't think it necessarily could desensitize it totally. You know what I'm saying? Unless
it depends how much. So say if it is becoming a sexless relationship.
Yeah.
And I said, if men are thinking about it, 7 seconds. Every 7 seconds.
Every second.
And women, we can go without thinking about it. It's not a thing for us. So in that time where it has become stale, shall we say?
Right.
If you're filling it with porn, then you alone are getting desensitized and your imagination is on something else. So when you do get that moment, you're not even thinking of your woman in that way. You're just thinking of how erotic and crazy you can get it. I think it's a give and take, and that's why I feel like you have to be able to speak about these things. If it's stuff you like, stuff you don't like, and being able to approach the situation. And if it is something where you know it's not going to be every week, it's not going to be every 2 weeks, but when it is, it's special to both, then the relationship can still keep going. Because if you're going to be celibate, then it's got to be something that you both agree on. Because otherwise someone is stepping out of that relationship, because there's only a certain amount of time. There's only a certain amount of time if you both want it. There's only a certain amount of time you can go before one says, you know what, I'm not getting enough attention, I'm not getting my needs met. And that's when people start stepping out. You start almost disliking the person you're with. Do you know what I mean? Because you're like,
it's resentment.
You're like, I got feelings. Like, why aren't you? So, in terms of how important is it? It definitely is important. But the frequency, it just depends on the couple, I think.
Yeah, I agree with frequency. Like, I mean, it just depends on how much energy you got. I mean, like I said, you got some people that's very sexually high-strung. And, you know, to this day, I would love to meet somebody that's a woman that's sexually high-strung, because I don't know. I only see them on TV.
Like, believe me.
Like, I'm just saying, like, do they fucking exist? Like, do they?
They exist.
Is that a real thing and shit? Like, you know what I'm saying?
It's a real thing. I mean, I'm someone. I'm here for it, mate. I'm here for it to the point, especially at the beginning. I would say that I'm not in a predatory way or anything like that, but I'm like,
I've been waiting.
I want it right now. Like, you know what I mean?
You gonna make me part
now,
of me too? You gonna make them part of me too? Come on now. You gonna me too
right now,
them?
motherfucker, you're like, but we just did it, man. So, you know, it can be like that. You can have,
right.
But it's again, it's finding balance. It's finding that balance, because I literally had to learn to kind of just tone it down a bit myself.
You had to learn to tone it down?
Tone it down just a little
Fellas,
bit.
do y'all hear this shit? Like,
just tone it down a little bit, okay? Like,
some people looking at the screen like, where the fuck they make you at? Like,
just tone it down a bit. Just tone it down.
So, and some people feel like us. So, what? Okay, then there has to be some type of balance. If one person could be, hold on 1 second. Let's pause 1 second. I'm gonna pause the recording 1 second. All right, we back. Yeah. So, I mean, there has to be some type of balance. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so if you got a person that's, you know, that's overly sexual, and you got a person that's, so where's the balance at? So what would you consider over? You know what I mean? Like, what would you consider over?
Over is
every day,
all the time,
all the time,
all day, every day,
5 minutes,
multiple times a day.
That ain't nothing wrong with that, though. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Like,
it can be for the other person.
Yeah.
See, I've been on both spectrums. I've been the predator one, and I've been the one who's like, God damn, what's wrong with you? Like, so when you get to the balance, oh, okay, this is unacceptable. There's more to life. There's more to life than this. But then that could also be seen as the downfall, because you can almost get comfortable when you're not having it on the regular. So again, I think it's for each individual relationship to be able to address those things.
To determine whether, I mean, that makes sense.
You got to be able to say, look, I ain't getting enough, or this is a bit too much. Like, you, and as you said, if you go into for a relationship where it's not needed, because first and foremost, there's got to be love. There's some people who just have sexual relationship and that's it. There's nothing else. There's no conversation. Do you think you can separate the two? Do you think there is a possibility to have a healthy relationship with those two things being separated? Yeah. Separated is in, like, I think you're still gonna need the,
like, for those people, like those people that say, and I mean, you know, it happens, we all adults, that say that no strings attached, this is all our relationship is about. There is no love.
Then that to me, that's not a relationship.
You don't think
that's
all
so? That it is? No, because you're not getting to know the person. You're not getting to know their intellect, their likes, their dislikes. You're just there for the.
I mean, what if you know all of that? What if you know all of that? So, for example, what if you know all of that about the person, and you know y'all done dated and shit, but when it comes to as far as, because you know you got some people who don't deal with love. I mean, love is almost one of those things that it's almost a rare thing. Like, you know what I'm saying?
How happy are those people who don't deal with love, who don't get to share?
They might lie and say they're happy
with somebody.
They might say, you know, you got some people that they love being alone, and they, you know, I mean, it just really depends. Like me, I've always been a homebody. I've always been in a relationship, long-term relationships. I've never really been. I think I had one summer, me and my cousin. I was single, and shit. that was the summer of all fucking summers. That's all I can say. To this day, I still salivate at that fucking summer.
Then I think that is an individual decision, though, isn't it? If you want to be somebody who's just out there with everybody and just having moments.
Well, when you're young,
I mean, you can have those, but then when it gets to a point where you can, like, look back and stuff and be like, I had my fun then, but this is the person I'm having my fun with now. Because you share more than just sex when you're in a long-term relationship. Because as I said, you got bills to pay. If you've got kids, then you've got kids. If you've not got kids, then
life, pandemic,
life in general, family. Like, there's so many other things that it doesn't become just about you and what you want. So, as I said, I think love plays a huge part, and whether you can even be with someone in a not a sexless relationship, but in a less sex relationship.
So do you think one can go without the other? So do you think you could have love without sex and sex without love?
Can you have love without sex? not for that long because we're humans at the end of the day. I mean, as I said, like, unless you both say we're celibate and we don't want to, I don't think any relationship can really fully work like that, because we all have those inner needs that need to be met. That high, that low.
I feel like it depends on what type of sex you're having. So to me, there are multiple different types of sex, right? So there's sex, and then there's, you know, the emotional and all of that good shit. I think that those are two different experiences, and you can experience both of those experiences with the same person. I feel like initially when you're with somebody, it's more about infatuation and all of that good stuff, which makes them, you know, make you a lot about hype. But when you're with somebody for a long time, it's more emotional involved. So that's why it's not. You
have the spice still, because the longer you're with someone, the more effort I believe you have to put in.
Get into a routine and shit. Like, okay, I know he gonna hit it from the back, do this and all that. You know, I don't.
You don't want that. You don't want a whole schedule or a routine like that. You do want it spontaneous. You do want to, still feel like you still got it. Like, no matter what. And even if, as I said, even if it's not every week, but when it is happening, that is why you're there, because you're like, I know that this is, do you know what I mean?
What would you say to all those women? What would you say to all those women that hold sex, number one, over men's head as like,
why are you doing it?
You know, as some type of punishment or something to get them to do what they do? That shit ain't happening to me, because if motherfucker ever tried that shit on me. But I'm just saying, like, there are women that do that. And what about, like, you know what I'm saying? Do you think, I mean, I guess you need to talk to some of these women, man. Like, because there's women out here that don't know, or they don't feel like that's important, and, you know, in a relationship.
Well, I go back down to compatibility as well. It depends on who you're with and what kind of relationship you have. I'm quite fortunate that I'm with someone who cares about my needs, and when it comes to the bedroom, I mean, I'm sure he won't mind me, you know, talk about it, but like,
he does what he's supposed to do. He
does what he's supposed to do, and he's not the type, you know, some guys is like, I'm just in it to get what I need and I'm out. Like, just because you're feeling that kind of way. Like, no, he's like, he makes sure that your woman's good
first. But that's how it's always supposed to be. It is some dudes out there. It is some dudes that like, man, as long as I got mine, as long as I got mine.
You gotta be able to, I think, for a man, if you can have self-discipline and self-control, then you're already winning, because you're not like, once you get in the moment, it's not just over because you couldn't handle it.
Is there such thing as too much discipline and too much self-control? Is there ever point in time where you be like, man, I wish he just fucking just come on and just be like,
I mean, if I'm nearly there, I'm like, you better hurry up now, because I ain't going together. Bring it up.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think sex is a thing that you guys have to learn, because, so for example, we could be having had sex 20 years before we met each other with other people and everything, but it's always going to be different with this different person, different feelings, different situations, getting to know that person, man. I just feel like that these days, I mean, it should be, you know, women try to make it seem like, oh my God, he just objectify me and all. It's not really about that, man. Like, it's, and that's what I'm,
in this.
Right.
You gotta stop that.
It just feel like they, you know, everything is an issue, and people are too sensitive about every fucking thing, including sex. Like, this is, how the fuck you think you got here, man? Like, I mean,
exactly. That's what I mean. People should be able to talk about it in a relationship. You should be able to say your likes and dislikes, and if it's something that you can work out together, then boy, there's certain things that you didn't know that he liked, or you didn't know that she liked, and you're like, oh, okay. If it's within your boundaries and it's something that you're prepared, like, you could both have a better time. But in terms of, I still feel though that love in itself is the strongest form. I feel like it is, because you might not always be in the mood, your partner might not always be in the mood. Does that mean the relationship's over? Like, no. It just means, like, at this time it's not that. But if the love is strong enough, you can always could always wait. There's always more time. There's
Right.
always other things to keep things together. Because if it's solely based on sex, then what else have you got?
Right.
Because literally, once that dries up, literally, like what have you got?
So it's almost like for example, you got couples. That's like a two-sided coin, and I'm gonna say the reason why I say that is because if that's all it's about, then you got a problem. If that's not what it's about and it's all about the love and you're not getting that portion of the relationship, that can severely damage a relationship. So I mean, finding that balance, and sometimes it's hard finding that balance because, like I said, I don't care if we was together, if I met you and you weren't the person that liked to have sex a lot or whatever the case may be. We decided that we were going to do this together. I'm a person that like to have sex a lot. We're going to fucking find a balance, because when you choose to take a relationship, you choose to evolve with that person. I hate when people say, well, you know, that's how I was before. No, fuck that. Yeah, that's how you was before you met me is the key word. But now that you're going to be with me, you need to adjust that shit, and I'll adjust what I need to adjust.
Yeah, I think that's what people get messed up in relationships. Sometimes they're not prepared to step outside of what they know or what is comfortable just for them. Sometimes you kind of have to like open your mind a little bit, see, and it's a give and take situation. Everybody has to make a little bit of a sacrifice somewhere down the line. But how strong you are will determine whether. I say there's some people who probably don't do anything for a month, 2 months, but they're still happy. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know how happy it's but if we look at the statistics of men having to think every 7 seconds, I don't know how happy men would be, should I say.
Well, see, that's why I don't see...
We could go. We're fine.
I watch these TV shows and shit, and I be seeing like, oh my God, I gotta have sex with my wife, man. This is the weird. And I'm sitting here like, where the fuck do they make you at? And where is that a problem at? How is that a problem? Usually it's the opposite and shit. Like, my wife. Yeah. But you talking about to the point to where dudes don't want to. I mean,
if she's insatiable and doesn't give you a break,
I would like that. I would like to have that problem. I'm just saying, to me that's a healthy problem to have, because you could always wing it off eventually. But so for example, if you got a person that is very highly sexy active, eventually that may drop off eventually at some point in time. But somebody that's not really sexually active, to get them sexually active, it's harder to go backwards than it is forward, to me. Changing somebody who's approved.
You gotta keep the spice, haven't you? Gotta keep the spice.
Man,
you gotta make it. Like, I mean, my partner, he will tease me. Unfortunately, he'll do stuff like he'll just walk in like butt naked and be like, "You ain't getting none of this," and walk out. Excuse me, and he'll do it because he knows if he, like men. Sometimes if you try and approach the woman for it, she's like, "No, I'm not in the mood, can't be bothered." Like, but if you actually make it out like you ain't getting this, just out of nowhere, didn't ask for it, there's no conversation, then all of a sudden you're like, hold on. Can you just do that? And then you're thinking about it now. And then you end up being the one approaching the situation. I mean, that's happened to me. I don't know about everybody else, but it could be like, oh, okay, fine.
Y'all hear that, fellas? So the next time you use, that's basically reverse psychology.
It's reverse psychology and it works.
You know what I'm saying? You go in the room ass naked, and she been tripping about not giving you none, bro. Go in the room ass naked and be like, you want this shit, don't you? I gotta go. Boom. And you know what I'm saying? And it's gonna be, I guarantee it's gonna be some people in my box like these that shit didn't work. She was like, oh, okay. She was watching she was still watching the TV show and shit, bro. I'll end up going to play the game and shit.
It's dropping seeds. It's food for thought. Instead of the usual coming over and trying to approach, and then, as I said, if a woman's not in the mood, you're probably not gonna get it.
So you saying be different. So you saying be,
different,
so
right?
Every time be different. Well, you definitely don't want to get into a routine, man, because
it gets stale.
Like, like those shows where they be like, okay, yeah, we schedule once every Friday, every other Friday out of the month. Like, I'm
Yeah,
like, that's
yeah.
horrible. That's horrible.
Yeah, that would be hard because how's your brain supposed
No
to...
spontaneity. I mean, no spontaneity. I can't say that word. Say it for me. You know what I'm talking about. No spontaneity or all that shit.
Spontaneity.
Yeah, that shit right there. Now, keep in mind, y'all, U.S. versus Manchester, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Our shit we would say sound different. We pronounce it different.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you do want that. And even if you've been in a relationship for a while, you can still talk sexy.
Right.
You can have them conversations where you can start talking about one thing and it can lead on to another thing, and then before you know it, clothes are off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, literally, I don't know if anybody does, but you could talk about fantasies. I don't know if people do that, but
do you think men, so for example, there are certain, do you think it's always should be chivalrous? Should the man always have to fucking make the first move?
No. 100% no.
So, like, what about, okay, so that shouldn't be an expectation.
No. Like, I don't know if is it an expectation?
I mean, it depends, man. Like, I don't know if it's a difference in cultures or what it is. Like, women are, now don't get me wrong. I haven't met every woman in the world, y'all, before that disclaimer. Mm-hmm. I am just saying from my experience, I mean, I don't think I've ever had in my life like somebody who was just, well, yeah, I had one, but that I was younger. That was just, spontaneous, just every 5 minutes and shit. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I think I liked it for a while, but then after a while, it kind of made me feel like I was the girl and shit. Like,
well, yeah, that's what I was saying earlier about the whole predator thing. Because as a woman, it could be like, calm down, mate.
Right.
Wow. Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with a woman initiating or. No, right. I think you should, because then you're more than likely to both have a good time because she's in a bloody mood.
Right.
So, I mean, unless he's not in the mood, then I always feel like it's easy. I mean, I could be wrong, but is it easier for men to get in the mood?
Oh yeah, easily.
If you're being approached.
Well, it's okay, so it depends on the scenario. So. A lot of, we could be in the mood, but it's, so for example, it may be certain things that we want. We may be like, man, I wish she would, and that would just make it jump off right now.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it end up with us, you know what I'm saying? Men don't always want to feel like they pulling that shot. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And contrary to belief, I don't care. Whatever, man. Some men be like, man, I don't give a fuck. She like me or not. As long as I get some ass, I bust one. But
yeah, that's it's not gonna work.
But that's not always the case, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? And in the end of the day, you show me that somebody in the back of their mind that don't want to feel wanted and don't want to feel like they desired. Mm. Everybody want to feel desired. Dudes, bros. Y'all can't sit there and tell me y'all don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, for example, the song Floetry, right? I thought that was to me, that's the most beautiful song for a woman to speak to a man in that form of fashion. Have you ever heard the song Floetry? Say yes. Yeah. For a woman to speak to a man in that form of fashion, to me, that was love in the purest form. That was almost sensual. The song, the words were sensual. You know what I'm saying? Which could have, in that particular situation, that motherfucker sing like that's just some shit to me, and I don't know.
Yeah.
That's baby making shit right there.
Well, that's the same I was saying about even just talking like that.
Right.
It shouldn't just be a one-way street. It shouldn't.
Right. It should go both ways.
It's got to go both ways, and it's got to be nice. It's got to feel good on both ends. If it is the guy just like doing it for the sake of doing it because he just needs to bust a nut, then it's like, they're like, come on, let's make it a bit more. That's why I go back to the self-control thing. I think it could be more enjoyable for yourself. Man. I mean, I don't know.
I think the longer you last, the better. I mean, that's just me.
But even if you know that you're at that point, and if you can actually hold back a little bit, you even have a better experience.
Oh my God, I stepped on the pen.
I've been told.
Well, you can. I mean, look, sex is training, and you know, that's pretty much what it is and shit. And some of us as kids, we trained for the Olympics for this shit. Like, especially when it, because I don't know about women, because dudes, we pretty much like it anyway. You could be like, women don't have the problems that men have when it comes to making sure we get satisfied. A woman can go out there and say, hey, fuck me, and be cool. We don't know.
Yeah,
our luck ain't necessarily the same. You know what I'm saying?
You don't know, because I said unless you get the right compatible match.
Right.
So many women haven't even experienced the big O.
That's
you wouldn't believe.
I hear that. I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot from. And I'm like,
you wouldn't believe.
How is that possible? I thought women was just saying that shit before they met me, just to make me be like, oh, for real?
No.
Go do what I gotta do.
I've heard. I know people who've only recently got it after how many years of being on this planet.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And that goes down to compatibility. It goes down to the connection. There's so many things. And then if you do have a guy who's out for himself, a woman generally knows it. So when she's in the moment, she's feeling it, but she ain't.
She's like, yeah, you finished, dude. Yeah, you finished, bro.
Yeah, you see them, they can make all the sound effects and do whatever, but ain't nothing really being satisfied.
Right.
And I'm fortunate, I got to say. I'm one of the fortunate ones, and that's probably why we've worked and lasted so long.
Exactly.
You know, it ain't broke. But
don't fix it.
It's true, there's a lot of men out there, they're doing their thing, and the woman ain't even satisfied. So that's how you can end up in a sexless relationship, because she's like, this again? She's not even bothered anymore.
Right.
So
fellas, if y'all out there shortchanging,
self-discipline.
Yeah.
Like make sure it happens. You'll know when it happens, because you can feel it yourself.
I agree. Now, I ain't never had that, like, and this is just I ain't never had that problem, but I know people that's had that problem. I know people that actually brag about that shit. Like, man, and I'm gonna tell y'all, fellas, I've had friends. Now, mind you, I'm older. I'm a little bit older than Lussh. You know what I'm saying?
Are you?
Yeah. I'm probably a lot older than you, Lussh.
I bet you're not.
I'm pretty sure.
The whole age thing.
I'm pretty sure.
Are you? Are you still in your 30s?
No.
Okay.
Yes. But see, youth. I still got my youthfulness, and people.
Yeah.
Believe me, if y'all do, y'all would love to be like I am at my age. You feel me?
Yeah.
So with that being said, fellas, like, it is important, man. For example, a part of my thing is when she said, like, that used to be part of my little game, man. Like how she said he'd come in there and be naked. Man, listen, I used to bring women over by the house. I used to run them a bath, candles, the whole nine. You know what I'm saying? Like she said, get them all hot and bothered, and I would go in the room and just act like I don't want nothing. Now, mind you, I got woke up a lot of times. That shit, people wasn't gonna let that shit go by a lot, but
yeah.
Women used to tell me that was something that they never really, experienced and shit. Yeah. But it was all part of my game. It was part of the game for me. You know what I'm saying?
It actually works though, because if the guy is just constantly on your case, you can feel like this ain't excited, man, because I know what you want.
Right.
Like, but I think in a long-term relationship, you kind of say you have to keep the spice, and I think, look, I'm no professional. Right. I mean, I haven't got a clue. I could just be chatting out my arse, really. But from my own personal experience, it's like, and things that you see and you hear around, and you hear conversations, you're just like, oh, okay. Some people choose to like experiment in their relationships, with threesomes and bringing other people into the relationship or whatever. I don't know. It might work for people to keep their sex, but if it takes that to keep your relationship going, then it means I feel like maybe you should just be in a different relationship, right?
I agree.
If you have to bring somebody else in to kickstart it again.
I feel what you're saying, and then again, I've been on the other side of that. Sometimes it's just fun. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
I mean, and it really depends on how you are with your sexuality.
Yeah, but there's fun, and then there's being in a, because this was this to do with a long-term relationship, right? How important is sex in a relationship?
Okay, so you went back. Thank you for going back to the topic. So now,
yeah, because I'm just trying to make sure that
long term, there are couples. I mean, there are couples out there that do that. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, you know, for example, the entanglement. Just saying, there are couples.
Well, how happy are they really and truly?
Probably not at all.
Out here just airing out all the laundry, making Will look like some idiot.
That's another thing. I swear I want it. I swear I would. Oh my god.
We have to do it.
That's my boy too, man. You know what I'm saying? That was my boy.
She's taking it too far. She's taking it way too far. And this is another thing, women. Now listen to me.
I'm listening.
You need to stop thinking that men can read your mind, okay? Stop. When she said that, I was like, huh? Because you've been with someone for 10, 12, 15 years, they're supposed to be able to read your mind? Nah.
I mean,
you should be able to know certain traits,
certain things, right? Pick up on certain signals, but not everything. Everything is not gonna be, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, now true indeed, when you've been with somebody for 13, 14 years, right? You know, I spent 11, this is what, 9, 10-ish. So it's like certain things, you know, just by knowing that person, maybe a look that you give or something like that. But it's not exactly everything. But women, please get to know your man and know when he wants what he needs. Please learn it. Look for the signs. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna tell you, like, some of y'all could be in the process of losing good men and shit, and you gonna fucking regret that shit later. I'm I'm not saying that there are 100 million men in the world, but everybody might not be meant for you though. That might be the one meant for you, and all you had to do was compromise some of who you are just as well as they have to compromise who they are. So I'm just gonna tell y'all, women, be looking for those signs, man, and don't be scared to have that conversation. And when a man comes to you with that conversation saying, hey, this is how I'm feeling, don't fucking make it into an argument and try to play victim. Don't do that. Don't do that, because that's gonna take away the attention from what y'all trying to actually resolve. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So make sure, you know, you leave that table open. And you know, it's not blame, and women don't be like, oh, it's all my fault. You trying to say, no, I'm not trying to say it's all your fault. I'm saying this is what we need to address, and how do we address it together, and how do we talk about it, and not only talk about it, because talking is one thing. Let's have a fucking solution. What's the resolution for it? What can we actually physically put in play that's going to resolve this? Because some of y'all relationships depend on it, ladies. I'm just saying. And then you wondering, well, why do dudes cheat? Well, he did tell you that this is what he wanted.
That's what I mean. You can only go a certain amount of time before somebody ends up cheating.
Yeah. So make sure you keep it tight. If you value your relationship, then
and when I say a certain amount of time, that is individual to each relationship. You'll know. I mean, if you're going into the year, if you're going into like a year, 6 months, like 6 months, a year, if you're really pushing them kind of boundaries,
listen, man,
somebody's about to step
don't
out
wait
somewhere.
Listen, man, if she take more than a couple, you better handle yourself, bro. You better handle yourself, bro, because that shit'll build up and cause issues, my man. I'm just saying. Don't fucking, man, you still got the power, man. You know what I'm saying? You still got the power, bro. But I'm just saying, like, especially these days with shit being so fucking dangerous, and relationships are changing for, especially like right now, it's gonna be hard to meet people just because of what's going on outside. You might think somebody fine, and you like, man, damn, but what if I go fuck around and catch COVID? Like I know that's always in the back of my mind. Like whenever I meet somebody or whatever, and maybe some of y'all are not thinking about that, but you fucking should. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, the one that if you got somebody that you blessed to have with on a daily basis, we call it in-house. You better make sure that in-house stay tight, and y'all relationship stay tight, because it's not as easy to go back out there and have to go through that shit again. And I mean, you can, but why? When you can just make a couple tweaks.
But that's where the love part comes in. If their love isn't there, there's no point in
I agree.
Doing all of that. Then it means you just bounce.
If
it's loveless and sexless, just leave.
Like, I mean, is that a certain situation? You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, couples that stay together for finances.
Yeah.
You know,
that's all wrong reasons.
yeah,
man.
that is all wrong reason, but
Because you can have all the finances in the world, but
not
you
be
don't know
happy.
what your partner's doing. You're not happy. You're not like, why not be happy? How about we try and be happy, guys?
I remember when I was young, I got married at 19, and when I got married, some of our best times that we had is before we had money. Before, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, you know, one thing my brother, and like that more money, more problems in a relationship, that shit is real. Because when you are, let's just say when you struggling, yeah, the finances does cause issues in relationships, and people argue about finances, but all y'all got is each other at that point in time. You start adding money, and, you know, I got this and buy this and do this and to go there, then it becomes more about the things that you can do in a relationship versus the things that you had to do to keep the relationship together, to even keep your head above water. So I feel like so to go back into the sense, how important is sex in a relationship? I think
it is.
We've came acquired that it is important. We came to that it really depends on the people, how they mesh, and what their, you know, needs individually are, and how much love is in there for that person to even want to make adjustments or adjust to what you need. Is very important. So you know, so for some of us who for some of us who think 25-75, and that's only because, you know, I don't know. I mean, you know, some people of us grew up, you know, I think I would have been a perfect 70s baby. I would have loved the 70s, like, or not a 70s baby, a 70s adult. I would have loved the fucking 70s and all that. That shit would have been my time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like nowadays it's just so.
Yeah.
It's just so, like, it's not free. Shit is not free like it used to be, man. Emotions aren't free. People aren't as, like, you can't fucking like people and shit. You can't be sincere with people because people are so fucking fake.
Yeah.
Coming up, matter of fact, on one of our another shows, another topic, fake people, we're going to be hitting that up. I think me and Lussh can attest to that personally, goddammit. So that's definitely going to be a fucking topic, y'all. So so we're going to say today on Real Talk that it is very important to have sex in a relationship, but it's also very important to have love and to balance out the both. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. What do you guys think, though?
Make sure you let us know.
Let us know,
Real Talk with
how important is sex in a relationship?
And from now on, we're going to make sure that y'all go ahead and weigh in. So when we actually do the show live, we're going to have to post those questions, and make sure you go on Coach. You can actually answer the question, and we'll have a poll. And then we'll take up, you know, see what the poll is at the end of the day, and see how many people kind of see eye to eye. So I enjoyed it. What you think about our first show, Lussh? What you think?
I think it's good. Nice topic to open up the show.
Be some nice hot fire, some nice steamy conversations. So right now we feeling each other out, y'all. Like she said, in relationship, we trying to point and see how far we can go. You know what I'm saying? Without pissing the other off. So I mean, like I said, be looking forward to Real Talk with Deeds. We're gonna be probably doing it every Saturday. Once I get the format in, we're gonna be getting a live stream together, and we're also gonna be doing the podcast, you guys. So I'm your host, Deeds. I appreciate y'all hanging out, the hardest working host in the game. Hopefully, you know, y'all enjoy that new intro. And Lussh, man,
thank you for having me,
man. Thank the show, thank you. We thank you. The people thank you. I'm your host, Deeds, the hardest working host in the game. Catch y'all on the next one.
Bye, guys.